The next person that will be coming to this stage is Miss Delayna Watkins. And when she come up here, you gonna see her, you gonna be like this. Lord have mercy. Trust me, she done been doing some butts and guts and stuff too, and some legs. But Delayna is very dedicated when it comes to the well-being of women. She is a nurse by trade, and she has taken that gift and used it to be more purpose-filled with her life to share with how women should be empowered in their wellness. She is teaching you how to be healthy and how to do what the things you need to do to stay healthy. She has something called the Women's Wellness Lounge. Y'all got it right here in my hand. I'm telling you, I got on contacts. I can't see. I can't see what I'm reading. You know, you gotta have on reading glasses, and which is a sign that I'm getting a little younger. You know, just a sign that I'm getting a little younger. That's all it is. But being a woman walking on shoes, as I shared earlier, is not just about what I want to be and what my purpose is for my life, but it's also about what you would do for the other components of your life. You just can't have goals for your personal life and your professional life. You have to have some goals when it comes to your health. You have, because let me just say this, you can't, I said it earlier, walk in your purpose and not be well. You have to be healthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. And Delayna's gonna come to the stage and she's gonna talk about what it means to walk in your wellness. So I'm gonna get off the stage. Can we get some music, Maestro? Yeah. Okay, we get some music. The next person you will see walking very well in her own shoes is Ms. Delayna Watkins. And thank you, Delayna, for coming and being with us. Give her more music.
About walking in your wellness. Half of what I have already decided to talk to you about, Tawawn has already covered a lot that has to do with your mindset. What can I say about that? Are you all ready to play a little bit? And then we're going to get a little naked in a certain sense. And then we're going to figure out where we are and what's blocking us and preventing us from getting to that next level of our wellness. Because how many of you know that you have to be well to fulfill any of the roles and responsibilities that we are engaged in life, whether you're working. Don't you know sometimes when you go in for a job, they make sure you take a physical because they want to make sure that you're well and able to meet the qualifications of the job. Well, if you're an entrepreneur or a business person, the same applies. You have to ask yourself, am I healthy enough to be in business, to run this business, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to walk into your wellness. So what I want to do is we're going to play a little bit. And how we're going to play is, I'm going to take you back to a time when you were, let's say, between 5 and 7 years old. And you went to the neighborhood playground. How many of you all love certain rides? There were certain things that you went to when you went to the playground, right? Yes. How many of you were sliding board riders? You like to climb up those steps and then go for the wee ride down, right? Yeah, back then turn around, yeah, slide down the other way, go feet first, right? Go head first. How many of you like to get on the swing and see how high you could go? Wanted somebody to stand behind you and push you and you would bend them legs back and then kick them out like higher and higher, make that dip so you could go higher, right? Because we like the higher heights, we like the feel of being higher. What about where my merry-go-round people at? You get on the merry-go-round, just go round and round and round, right? Just go round and round and round. Kick that leg out and just do like that. Just make it go faster and faster for no ungodly reason, except to just go faster so we could get dizzy. And then we talk about Candace, that sandbox. See, I wasn't even gonna bring up the sandbox. There she go over there. So we know we got a sandbox girl in the room, okay? My next ride was gonna be the monkey bars, where you suspended in air, right? Nothing between you, the bar, and the ground. And somehow you have to muster up enough courage to reach forward, right? And grab onto that next bar in order to continue to propel yourself forward to get to the other side, right? On their monkey bars. All of that sounded good and was fun to us because at the time we knew no better. We thought that those things brought us joy, and that's what we were supposed to do on the playground. We relate that same thing to the way that we live life now and how we embrace and envision our wellness. We're doing the same thing. We are on the playground of life and on the playground of wellness, right? Until something comes and knocks us off, we get injured, we fall, we break a leg, we break our arm, something happens, or either everybody leaves the playground and it's no longer fun. That's the same way that we do when we go through life and when we talk about our wellness. We get on that sliding board where we're doing well, following all the steps, and we climb up, and then something happens, and we go down, and we stay down. Instead, it didn't feel good, so we didn't want to go back around and climb up those steps again and start that process all over again, right? That's part of the environment. It's part of the struggle. It's part of you embracing what you do when you're walking in your wellness. Monkey bars, same thing. When you are approaching your wellness, you're suspended in air because sometimes you have no idea what you're facing. So you're suspended in air, hanging on to the monkey bars, and sometimes you'll just hang there until your arms go numb instead of reaching forward to grab for that next bar, right? But the only way for you to make it to the next side is to continue to press forward. And does it get hard? Oh, it absolutely does. Oh, it absolutely does. But are you going to stay there suspended? Again, as I said, there's nothing between you and the ground. Then we talked about the merry-go-round, right? The merry-go-round of life. We keep sticking our leg out and we keep making it go faster and faster for whatever reason because we're comfortable on that ride and we don't want to get off, but we like the feeling of that ride even though we know that we're doing what? Getting dizzy and dizzy with every single leg kick that we do, right? What about the good old swing? How does a swing make you feel, right? We got the highs and the lows of life. When it's good, it's real good. And we're just wanting to kick higher and higher, push me faster and faster because I'm loving the way that I'm feeling right now. And at some point, how many of y'all, don't play now, when you were younger, jumped off when it was at its highest point, right? That's what we do. We will jump off when it's at its highest point. So that's what we tend to do sometimes when we're talking about getting on our path or our journey to wellness. So playtime's over. Everybody has left the playground. It's all about you. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's all about you walking in your wellness. So pick your ride that you like on the playground. We're going to come back to that or figure out which part of that, whether you're a monkey bar person or a swing or a merry-go-round or the sliding board. Either way, there was something that brings you comfort. There's a certain level of wellness that you should be at, a certain level of wellness that you should expect. The first thing that I ask on when I'm talking to women and I'm coaching them is to say, what does wellness look like for you? Each of you sitting at that at a table has someone sitting next to you or across from you. Your wellness journey is going to be different. So the first thing you have to figure out is what does it look like for you? And I want you to get clear and specific about that. See, sometimes we think that wellness means that you have to look good, that I have power in my pump and strength in my strut. But really, it comes from you embracing that wellness. So what it looks like for you, Chris, or maybe for you, Candace, or for anyone else in this room, is going to be totally different. So I want you to take a second to figure out exactly what that looks like for you. What does it feel like? What are you wearing in your wellness? How do you feel? Fabulous, I hear over here, right? How does it make you feel? Confident, right? You look at things different when you feel well. When you are sick or when you're in a place of discomfort, do you feel fabulous? You absolutely do not. So think about how that feels. What does that look like for you? And I'm not talking size. I didn't say what are you wearing in size-wise, but what does that truly look like for you? How are you performing? What are you saying? What are you doing? So embrace what that looks like for you. Because what we have decided to do as women, really as a nation, as a country, is we've decided that what we feel we are is based upon someone else's 30-second soundbite, or someone else's 30-second commercial, or someone's 180-character tweet, or Instagram. We've decided that that is what our wellness is. We've decided that that's what we want to become. And so we water it down and we get lost in the process. So what I want you to do is, again, going back to when you were 5 and 7 years old and you were carefree and you did things not even thinking about it, but you knew that that was what you wanted, it was what you chose to do. You have to go back and define those things for you. So that's how important it is for you to understand where you are to be in your wellness. And when we talk about wellness, I'm not talking about necessarily the whole health piece of your blood pressure and your diabetes and things like that. That's the whole health side. That's what comes out of how you embrace your wellness, okay? So it's very important. So I have to start with that. I told you we were gonna play a little bit, then we're gonna get naked. Now it's time for us to get naked. So you ready to get naked? So as you describe or think about what that wellness looks like for you, I'm serious, I want you to go deep. You gotta go deep and really figure out what that wellness looks like. Just jot down a couple different characteristics of what that looks like. What do you feel like? What are you doing when you are well, when you're in your wellness? Now I'm gonna tell you there's 3 different types of personalities that women possess when we talk about our wellness, okay? And I'm gonna introduce you to those 3 types of personalities, okay? Candace, can I borrow you for a second? I'm gonna introduce you to, yeah, you can come, oh yeah, you coming on up here, you coming up here. Who else can I get? Melanie, you can come up. And Christine, of course. I didn't by purpose pick 2 wellness people to come up here, but it's gonna work. We're gonna make it do what it do. So I'm gonna introduce you to the 3 type of personalities that all of us as women, that even myself, has possessed at one time. On my left, I have Proactive Paula, and you just got that by design. Proactive Paula is the woman who goes to get her annual physicals, all of her do lab work, blood work. Anytime something's not going right for her, she's not feeling well, she'll go and have herself checked out, okay? She's very in tune with her health, understands what's going on. That's Proactive Paula. That's about 18% of us women. So, Proactive Paula, she over here in a destination all by herself, right? To my right, we have Situation Sandy. Now, for a long time, I was Situation Sandy. Even being in the health industry, I was Situation Sandy. And you want to know what Situation Sandy does? Don't she look beautiful, though? Situation Sandy, she waits until a situation comes up with her. And although her being a health person, she probably could kind of figure it out. But Situation Sandy would decide that she has had pain going on in her abdominal area, and she's thinking, oh, I may be constipated, oh, let me figure it out, oh girl, I'm just stressed out, you know. She'll get on Wikipedia, Google, DrOzMD.com to type in her symptoms to really figure out what she's doing. Yes, maybe take some home remedies, you know, blame it on her cycle, all these different things that she'll go through in her mind. After about, let's say, 5 to 7 days of doing this with no real remedy in sight, with no relief, right? Situation Sandy decides, I think I better go ahead and go to the doctors, right? But it was that situation that made Sandy decide she needed to go to the doctors. But she had not been previously, because she's not a Proactive Paula, so she has no idea of her health status. It's only the situation that has made poor Sandy decide that she wants to go to the doctor. Poor Situation Sandy. That is 58% of us. Wow. 58% of us are situational. Now down here on the end, we have Reactive Rachel. Hello. Let me tell you how Reactive Rachel reacts to her wellness. She doesn't experience it at all. You want to know what she does? Right now, she's working for the federal government. And 2 weeks ago, one of her friends, girl, Caroline, did you hear what happened to Caroline? She died, or she had a heart attack. Oh, no, she didn't. Caroline, I just saw her a week ago. Oh, Caroline died, right? So what do you think that situation did to poor Melanie, right? Or Reactive Rachel? What she did was, she got scared. And she said, I better go to the doctors. I'm reacting to a situation because I don't know if that could happen to me, right? So you hear about stories or things, or maybe even family members, co-workers, people in your church that I just saw so-and-so. And I heard that, girl, no, she didn't. Yes, and because of that situation, we react. Well, how many do you think? This is about 44% of us. 44% of us are reacting. We're reacting to situations, even if it's not people that are intimately related to us. It may be, again, a 60-second soundbite, a news headline, whatever the case may be, that sparks that reaction within you to then go and be concerned about your health and wellness. So give my... Yes. Oh, think you have to pray yourself into health and wellness, right? That's part of it, but that is not all that you have to do. Again, you have to be in touch with who you are. So please give my lovely personalities a round of applause with Proactive Paula, Situation Sandy, and Reactive Rachel. Now, you could be two of them, but not all three. Because you definitely can't be proactive and then be situational and reactive all at the same time. Although some people who are very much a stickler about their health can kind of cross over and become two or three. But what I want you to understand is that you have to understand that your health and wellness is a direct correlation to how you experience health and wellness, deals with your personality. So, could any of you, by show of hands, relate to either Reactive Rachel, Situation Sandy, or Proactive Paula? Pretty much, probably one of those, or sometimes it probably combined two. Again, I lived in definitely been in the healthcare industry. I definitely dealt with a lot of the Situation Sandy, just to kind of keep it real. I really did. I was around a lot of sick women that looked like, you and me, and I would always say, well, if she's sick and she looks like she, works out every day, or whatever the case may be, she's got it all together, maybe there's something going on with me. And you would do a lot of what I call checking in with yourself to see really where you are. And working in that environment day in and day out really brought a lot of that reality home for me as women that we do, and where are we on that list? Somewhere either in the middle or somewhere at the bottom. We definitely have to make sure that we are nearest and dearest to the top, right? Because if we don't, all of that other stuff really doesn't matter, because you're not doing it function at 100% anyway. So we have to make sure that we flip that thinking when it comes to being at the top of your list and understanding where you are personality-wise. Because a lot of what we are getting sick from, a lot of what we're experiencing really is very preventive, and it's because we're not doing that 1 degree shift in our thinking to make it so. Heart disease, as you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A lot of it we can prevent and or manage and or treat just with changing our mindset and how we view it, right? And we're not doing that. We're not lending ourselves the amount of time that it takes to do that. So what do you think is the number one biggest culprit behind why we're not doing what we need to do as women? Fear.
Busy
Time. Time is always a big thing. Well, I'm here to tell you, there is only how many hours in a day? 24. I can't lend you 2 and you can't borrow 1. It is only 24 hours in a day. It is how we manage that time, and really what we do with that time, and how, again, when we embrace it. Let me tell you how important it is that you embrace your wellness. And when you do that, there's a certain power that you possess when you do that. Because you allow everyone else around you to know that your wellness is important to you. And whatever may be an emergency for them is not an urgency for you. So when you do that, it speaks volumes, right? Oftentimes we tend to want to fill our plate, fill our calendar, because it allows us to know that we're important, and then that what we're doing is important work, and that we're successful. Again, I tie it back to your wellness. None of that you can do if you're not 100% well, if you're not 100% functional in what you're able to do day to day. So, the next thing that I'd like to talk about is our personal barriers and obstacles, right? So, we wear stumps, pumps, stilettos, wedges, flip-flops, flats, comfy shoes, slippers, all that good stuff, right? Each of them can represent some type of personal barrier or obstacle for us. We spoke about time. I told you there was only 24 hours in a day, right? Can't borrow two and can't give you one. Motivation is right up there with time. We all know that it takes roughly 90 days before something becomes a lifestyle. 30 days becomes a habit. 60 days, you become disciplined in doing whatever you want to do. And then by 90 days, it should be a lifestyle where you're not even thinking about it. It becomes part of who you are. So with any change that you're attempting to make, whether it has to do with wellness or whether it has to do with something that you're just attempting to change for your own personal benefit, you have to really give yourself 90 days in order for it to be effective, in order for it to become part of who you are. Because that's what walking in your own shoes is about. It's about owning it, walking in your purpose, and understanding that it's going to be part of your lifestyle, correct? So, 30, 60, 90. Let's just take healthy eating. How many of you eat at a fast food restaurant? Right? On a regular. We're running around. I just said we're busy, right? Some of us will stop and we'll go to the drive-through. My car will cut off if I pull into a drive-through. I can just tell you that. I don't do it. It cut off. It'd be like, yep, you don't go in there now. Just kidding. No. Probably the only fast food that I will make it through the drive-through is Chick-fil-A. That's probably the only one that I will make it through is the Chick-fil-A. But again, it starts with your mindset. What if I told you that an apple was considered fast food? It's fast. It takes you just as much time to eat that apple as it does to eat that hamburger or those chicken nuggets or whatever the case may be, right? But what did I just cause you to do? Shift your mindset. That's it. That's all it really is a shift in your mindset. And once you do that and you begin to make those little changes, that's when it becomes part of your lifestyle and you don't think about it. The people around you oftentimes will notice the change before you do. At some point, I stopped drinking. I never really was a big soda drinker anyway, but I stopped drinking anything that really wasn't clear. I don't know when it happened, but I know at some point it happened. So I don't even think about it now. Why? Because it's part of your lifestyle change. So once you do that, it no longer becomes part of what you think, right? It becomes part of what you do. It becomes automatic, right? So that's all part of, again, shifting your mindset around that. So when we talk about time management, here's what I want you to do. There's a part of what I call the ozone, and I'll keep referring to that back and forth. It's 12 o'clock. On that clock at 12 o'clock, it says you're what? Overwhelmed. By 12 o'clock, you're overwhelmed, and that's just for reference purposes. But this is what happens to us throughout the day, right? So when we're talking about time, we're in this very cyclical thing. We are overwhelmed, overworked, overcommitted, and overextended at some point throughout the whole day. And imagine going on this cycle day in and day out, day in and day out. Overextended, overworked, overcommitted, right? What do you think that does to you as a woman? Stress. Stress. That is too much stress for you to be able to safely, comfortably deal with, right? Stress is a cycle that will lead to heart disease, diabetes, being overweight because you're not going to eat properly, all that. So are you starting to see that there's a cycle that goes back to time, and we can sit here and talk about time all day long. But what I want you to understand is that your time is valuable. Things will continue to go on whether you're sick or whether you're well. So if you're in the hospital or you're unable to go to work or if you're on bed rest, whatever you thought was important is going to keep on keeping on, right? So in order for us to function at our optimal level of health, and again, when I started out, I said it's different for everyone. So your optimal level of health and how you experience wellness is different for every single woman in this room. So when we talk about time, how do we get the people around us to shift and know that I'm not superwoman and that I'm not going to be here and be there, or that I can't be on that committee, or I can't be at that function? How do you think we shift and get women to respect that, or not women, just the people in our circle to respect that we no longer can be the superwoman because we're overcommitted and overextended? How do you think we can get women to shift, or get people to shift around that?
Learn to tell them no.
You got it. No is a complete sentence. You can even add a T on it if you want to, if you want to be real nice as you're working your way, because remember, it ain't become a lifestyle yet, right? Because it takes 90 days. So in the beginning, you can just say, not right now. There you go. If you don't want to say no, if you're not comfortable, just extend the N-O, put a T on it, and say, not right now. You're still in control. Eventually, you can back it off by the time you get to 60 days, and you're good with saying, no, I can't do it, no. I don't have the time. Not happening. However you choose to approach it. When you begin to do that, and you begin to allow the people that are in your circle, again, the people that you are committed to, or that you're part of different, as I said before, roles and responsibilities, your children included, significant others, they will begin to respect your time. They will begin to see that there's a shift, that they can't call on you on the 11th hour and you'll drop everything and you'll be there and you'll do whatever it is that they're asking of you. They will begin to respect that. That shift took place in my household about 5 years ago. They're good. They know not to ask me to do certain things after a certain time, if I'm shutting it down or if I'm doing something else. They will even remind me that I need a me day. That's what I'm talking about. You want them so committed to the process and so committed to you being healthy, so committed to you not being in the ozone, overcommitted, overextended, that they begin to remind you that it's time for a me day, time for you to be concerned about your wellness. That's how committed you want everyone who's generally dependent upon you or who's in your circle or concerned about your wellness. Okay? See how I told you it was going to be all about you? Making it, walking in your wellness, that's what we want. So we're still on just time. So again, that's how you get back your time. That's how you shift the thinking around your time. So what's another personal obstacle or barrier that we face when we're talking about anything really, but generally in wellness? What's another obstacle or barrier for anyone? Motivation. Motivation, right? So we come to conferences, or there's different people that we follow, different people that we look up to, and we're all hyped up, and this all sounds good. Oh, girl, I'm gonna go home and do that. Oh, yes, that sounds good. I'm gonna incorporate that into what I'm doing on a regular basis. How long do you think that motivation lasts?
5 minutes.
Probably about a hot 5 minutes. By the time I get out here and get on 295 and get down the road, I'm done, because I'm already stressed, right?
And get my sweet
So, yes, get your sweet tea. Gone. So, motivation has to come from different areas. Number one, it has to start within who? You. All that superficial, and it's not necessarily superficial, but let's say external motivation is good because it helps to reinforce what should already be where? Inside you. Which is why I started out talking specifically about no one else but you. I didn't get up here and start talking to you about my specific journey or draw you in with any specific story about, how I started my journey into wellness and how I walk in my wellness. It's about that as well, because I feel like you have to be a product of your product, and I can't stand up here and talk to you about something that I haven't myself authentically walked in. So when I talk to you, it's truly coming from a place of saying that motivation has to come from within. I love being able to turn on the TV and being moved by a certain story or a certain person coming from this point and transforming and going through a transition and getting to this point and realizing that their health and wellness is important to them, and maybe reading and understanding about how they got there. It may move you, and it also should help to lend credibility, but not necessarily validate where you are in your wellness or where you are in your journey. Come on now, you gotta understand and feel where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about. It has to go back to your why. And everything that you do that surfaces around your wellness has to be about you. It cannot be that motivation that comes, can't be because I come up here and I say to you, I just dropped 75 pounds in such and such amount of days, and I no longer get short of breath when I walk up and down a flight of stairs, and this and that and the other. That serves as part of motivation to say to you, it can be done. Right? But that personal wellness has to come from within, and you have to understand how you want to experience that wellness. So if that's a goal that you have for yourself, figure out how you're going to get there. What are the tools that you need to help you to successfully do the same or similar? So that's what I'm talking about when I say that the motivation definitely has to come from a place within you. Don't do it because someone else has done it and you feel as though, well, if they did it, I can do it. Don't do it because your significant other or your girlfriend said, girl, you need to lose such and such a pounds, or you should do this, or maybe if you did that, you would get this result. Because again, that's coming from a place that's not embraced by you. And so it will be abandoned quickly because it's not something that you have authentically embraced and decided, this is really what I want to do. You were told that this is something that you should do, but you didn't go within to really decide that this is what I want to do. So that's where motivation sometimes can be an obstacle or a barrier for people, is because we get those endorphins going. We get the feel-goods, is what I call. We get the feel-goods, and then the feel-goods are only short-lived because we didn't necessarily embrace the feel-goods, right? All right, so we're moving along. We went from a flat to like a little mini kitten pump with our motivation. What's another thing that blocks us from our wellness? Let's take it up a notch. Money. Money. All right? How many of us say, oh, I don't have enough money to get into this program, or I don't have enough money to get a wellness coach, I don't have enough money to join the gym, I don't have enough money to, participate in a corporate wellness program, or whatever you're being offered, right? Let me tell you, you do have the money, and you do have resources available to you. It's what we're choosing to do with them. As women, we spend more money, let me clear my throat because I'm guilty, on retail, shopping, and entertainment than we do on our health and wellness, okay? Now I'm gonna make a sharp turn on this one and tell you what's gonna happen. Y'all gonna be casket sharp, all right? That's what's gonna happen, because we're not putting our money, Chris, back me up here, Chris, come on. We are not putting our money where it belongs. And honestly, it belongs in your household, making sure you're buying the proper foods and feeding your family whole, nutritious, organic foods, cooking properly, not eating out at fast foods. Not to say that you can't go and, the movies and things like that. That's part of your entertainment, part of who, your living, part of being who you are. However, choosing to go to the movies and eat butter popcorn rather than sneaking in your own snacks like I do, however. But again, no, it's all relative. What I'm saying is that do not make money an obstacle or barrier to helping you walk into your wellness, to get where you are. If you're gonna eat healthy, you're gonna eat nutritious food, you will spend a few more dollars. However, I guarantee you in the long run, it will not afford you to have hypertension, diabetes, and all the things that come along with not eating right. So, although you think that you're saving money up front if you don't buy those types of foods, in the long run, you're still coming back around and spending the money because you're treating an illness that you never should have had in the first place. Okay? Can I get an amen? Can I get a clap on that? All right. So don't let money be one of your personal barriers or obstacles with your wellness. Okay, so we took it up a notch. I think we're on the wedges. What's another personal barrier or obstacle to your wellness? Christine.
Depression or emotional pain.
You got it. And that all surfaces around guilt. Guilt is one of those things that women deal with when we don't understand that self-care is important, which is why I spend so much time in the beginning talking to you about it's all about you. Do not feel guilty. Do not have feelings of depression. Do not go through thinking that if you shift and put your family in other places, along your schedule and not at the top, and if you're still trying to carve out, do some delegating and things like that around your home, don't feel guilty about that. Don't feel guilty because your 9-year-old has to make up the bed or, put the dishes in the dishwasher or help you with a few chores. It's okay. It really is. I don't think that the Department of Social Services is going to come and, say to you, you're mistreating your children because they're helping you as part of, maintaining your household and taking some of that stress off of you. Oftentimes we get our roles and our responsibilities really twisted when really your role and your responsibility is to embrace your wellness. That should be your day-to-day goal, because again, what happens? Who's seen that commercial when the lady is sick and cold, I think she has a cold and she's in the bed and the house is falling apart? Yeah. It's just junky. Yeah. Nothing's being done because no one else in the house knows how to take care of the home when she's sick and when she's down. They go and they ask the dad, well, Dad, how you do such and such and such? He said, I don't know, go ask your mother. Well, she was out of commission. So technically, that sometimes is what happens when we are not really embracing our wellness and when we're trying to be superwomen and we're trying to do it all. Delegate. It really is okay to have your children load the dishwasher, make their own bed, do certain things. Also, it's okay to ask your neighbor who doesn't have a problem asking you to pick your child up from the bus or take them here or do all of those type of things that we do, because we're nurses, cab drivers, cooks, chefs, we all that, all rolled into one, right? So it's okay every now and then to ask someone else to fill in for you when you're feeling overwhelmed, overcommitted, and overextended, right? Because you want to stay out of that ozone. So it's okay. And then that won't lend you to feeling guilty or having feelings of depression because you're not fulfilling a role that you put yourself here when it's something that's kind of beyond your reach. And at some point, you will get tired of trying to stay at this level. So it's okay. Take off that cape, untie, throw it. All right, what's another personal obstacle or barrier that we might face? How about knowledge? Right? Knowledge. Lack of knowledge. Oftentimes, I can talk to women, especially when I'm doing counseling with them, and I will ask them certain questions about a specific subject. They'll know everything it is to know about that subject because they're passionate about it. You have to become passionate about your health and wellness. You have to, again, as I said before, make sure that you own it. Because when you do, what do you think will happen? You'll become the master. You'll have a master's degree in your health and wellness. You'll know everything about yourself so that you'll be a proactive Paula, so that if there's something going on with you, you'll know that that's not right, that that's not how you should be feeling, or that's not normal for me, that's atypical, right? And then you won't be a situation Sandy where you'll wait until that thing goes on and on and on, and then you're like, well, really, I don't think that is what I thought it was, because that medicine didn't work. So it really is something going on with me, right? So a lack of knowledge or knowing that there's something that you can do differently to net you a result that will be much more positive, because we all want positive outcomes when we're talking about our health and wellness, right? So that's what the lack of knowledge would do. So making sure that you understand what's normal for you, what's abnormal for you, what's different for you, how you should move forward, how you should proceed. The other thing is, when we're talking about a healthy legacy, when I talk about this whole lack of knowledge, how many of you in here know that your family health history is so important to where you are in your state of wellness, right? Even if you don't know it, if your immediate relatives that you have can just give you a snapshot of your health and history, family history, make sure that you have that. It is so very important. The other thing is turning that around. You do not have to be a deposit of disease. Just because grandma and mom had diabetes, or sugar, as it was called, that does not mean that you automatically inherit that particular illness, right? Or that particular disease. We have to get out of that mindset that that's what is owed to me, that's what I'm gonna get. That's, it's part of my DNA, part of my makeup. Even if you are diagnosed with diabetes or hypertension, how many of you think that you have to succumb and give your power away to that? Absolutely not. Again, with the knowledge, you can understand what it takes to manage that disease and not have that disease manage you. and know that there's something that you can do about it so that we're leaving a healthy legacy, because then your child and then your child's child does not have to necessarily be diagnosed with those particular illnesses, because we are embracing our power and we're doing what we need to do as far as our health and wellness is concerned. We're a little bit more in tune, right? Because when you leave here today, how many of you want to be proactive Paulus? How many of you want to shift your mindset just a little bit so that you're a little bit more proactive? And again, it's a process. I'm not going to say when you leave out of here at the end of this 2-day summit that you will totally become this person who is, walking in their wellness, but you will be stepping, as one says, step into that thing. It's a process. It may take 90 days before it becomes a lifestyle, but with 1 degree shift in thinking, with the knowledge that you'll gain here, with me just being present before you, telling you that you have the power, that you're the one who's in control of your health and wellness, it will cause you to shift. Even if the action doesn't follow, it will cause you to shift and think. So give me just one more personal obstacle barrier that you think gets in our way of health and wellness. Relationships. And that falls back to what I was talking about before, because we put a lot of stock and a lot of value into our relationships. And when we do that, we cause those relationships to validate anything that we do. We cause those relationships to validate anything that we do. And so when we do that, we're a little bit more cautious, and we don't want to be too successful. We don't want to lose too much weight. We don't want to look too good. We don't want to be too overly confident. Why? Because the relationship may shift and change based around where you are now, because you're somewhere different than you were when that relationship first developed, right? So relationships play a huge part when we're talking about walking into our wellness. Really just in life in general, but definitely when we're walking in our wellness. What you would hope that the effect would have on the relationship would be positive, but that's not always the case. Because you would hope that you're shifting in your behavior, you're changing, and you're walking into your wellness would rub off to your sister, and she would say, oh, well, I know if she can do it, I can do it. Although, again, I tell people, make sure that while you're doing it, it's still for you, that you go within, because you have no idea what type of support system she has, which sometimes that can be another barrier or obstacle, is the support, the lack of support. Make sure that you're not putting your situation into theirs. You don't want that person's before and after to be your before and after. You have to create your own before and your own after. Again, it starts with you embracing your wellness. Because again, that's why I started off saying, what does wellness look like for you? How do you feel? What are you doing? What does that feel like? What are your emotions? What is all of that surrounding it? Once you connect with that, that keeps you grounded, and it allows you to know, I can experience this, I can hug it, I can push it away when I want to, I can walk in it, right? So that's the important part of understanding your why and knowing what that wellness experience looks like for you, and that's why it's so important. When I sit down and I coach with women, I don't even ask them what their health and wellness goal is from the very beginning. I ask them, why do they feel like they need to have a wellness coach? Why do you feel? How did you get to this point? Because your why is more important than what it is that you want to do as far as your goals are concerned. Because if you come to me with the wrong reason of the why, if you come to me because you're telling me that so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that, or my husband or my significant other wants me to do that, I'll tell you to go back and reevaluate if you're really ready. Because you have to really be ready. You have to be willing to do the work, to put in that the process requires in order for you to embrace your wellness, okay? Because again, it's gonna be different. Those 3 ladies that I brought up here, don't you think that the wellness experience for Proactive Paula is gonna be so different? Her wellness experience is going to be so different than from the reactive Rachel, the one who's upset because her coworker, family member, whatever, just laid out in that, right? The way she sees it and how she's approaching it is going to be totally different than the Proactive Paula. So that's why it's so important for you really in the beginning to understand that. And it's all about learning how to embrace it. Now I'm going to share with you just a short story about I guess it's probably about 10 years ago now. I was working as a nurse in a hospital in Baltimore. And this was during the time when HIV and AIDS was very, very prevalent in this particular zip code in Baltimore. was the Park Heights zip code 21217. And it was very well known. They started doing a lot of research and a lot of different things up in that area. And I had been assigned to care for these two young ladies that were in the room together. They were roommates. And I go in, and I had gotten a report, and both of them looked so much alike. I mean, literally, they could have been sisters. They were young African-American women, very beautiful. I go in, and I got them mixed up as far as who was who had HIV and who didn't. One was there for complications of that, and one was admitted for something totally different. So I go back out, and I look over my report or my notes, and then I walk back into the room. And I stood there and I thought, why should my approach have been any different, regardless of which one was diagnosed with HIV or AIDS, right? So I left back out the room, gathered my thoughts, looked at my report again, and I went back in and gave them both what they should have received from me the very first time that I walked in. My mindset was different the first time I went in. You wanna know why? Because in my mind, I kept saying, the one that was gonna have HIV/AIDS should have been laid out in the bed, not having strength to do anything for herself, should have been probably close to, death, or looked a certain way. I guess that's what was in my mind, is that she should have looked a certain way. But she didn't. They both appeared the same. They both were up, chatty, talking, just like you or I. They were, young. And so it threw me for a loop, because what I was expecting wasn't what I saw. Right then and there, it kind of something shifted within me. That whole entire shift that I worked, that 12-hour shift, I just kept thinking, I'm not seeing wellness for what it really is. I'm not treating the person for whom they really are. And that was a big shift for me. And that was when I knew, and then really truthfully, within that 6 months, I had stopped working in the hospital altogether and became a home care nurse, where I worked one-on-one, and that's where my coaching started, right then and there. Because part of me had not made that shift that your disease or your illness doesn't define you, you defined it. And those two young ladies proved that to me that particular day when I went in to talk to, to be a nurse for them. I thought that I was going in and was going to see a certain thing and kind of express a certain way, or, have to glove up, and, she was going to be, HIV/AIDS, what you see, what I tell you, the 30, 60-second soundbite, right? But that wasn't what I got. That wasn't what I saw. It wasn't what I was being confronted with. So that had me doing a lot of soul searching. As a nurse, you get sworn and you took the oath to do what? Treat and care for, another individual. That had to shift for me, because I kept thinking, people that look like me are dying of diseases that are preventable, and we don't even know our value, and we don't even know our worth, and I didn't even know your value or your worth either. All I knew was that I was supposed to go in and treat you, take care of the cut, the bruise, the illness, and whatever have you, and not dig deep to find out what brought you here to begin with. So that was part of my mission. That's what kind of kicked me forward to say, there's gotta be a shift. There has to be a shift. In order for us to change the outcome, in order for us to be able to leave a healthy legacy, there has to be a shift in how we think. And so once I did that, and once I kind of went into the home, it's a different environment when you're taking care of people in the hospital versus in your own environment. There's a big shift that takes place because you own the space. So when I did that, I was able to kind of really talk to women, and that's where I got a lot of what I'm sharing with you here today. So it wasn't that I read something in a book. It wasn't that I was taught something in a class. This is what the experience that I have been exposed to as I began to coach women and talk to them. So what I'm sharing with you is very, very authentic. Remember, we started out on the playground, right? We were on the playground and we were playing, and then we got naked, and then we said, okay, it's time to go to work. So how many of us in here are ready to go to work, ready to walk in our wellness, ready to step, strut, or slide our way into wellness, right? All of us, all your hands should be raised. Whatever that means. You can slide, we can strut, we can turn, you can do all of that. But you have to do it with power in your pump, power within, And to know that you, only you, because you're gonna walk different than I'm gonna walk. You're gonna walk different than Lisa's gonna walk. We're all gonna walk different, but you just have to know that you have the power and the ability to walk, strut, or slide your way into your wellness. Whether it's in a stump, pump, or stiletto, as long as you get there, you have to embrace that wellness. And how you embrace it will be how you experience it. If you embrace it all loose, well, how do you think you're gonna experience it? All loose, right? If you embrace that thing and know that you have the power to be healthy, right? This is the powerful thing when you do this, is you can hug it on up. You can hug yourself regardless of what's going on around you. Because when you do this, what are you saying? It's all about me. It's all about me. Forget all that other stuff, forget all those other barriers and what we think is important, what other people are telling us that should be important. When you do that, that is putting power in your pump. That is you walking your way to wellness. And that's it. I'm gonna do my stage walk. My green shoes. Because I don't want any of you all to be past this sharp. We have to walk our way, strut our way into wellness. Tawawn, Lowe, thank you so much for having Total Woman Wellness here. It was my pleasure. I'll be over there if you all have any questions or have anything specific that you want to talk with me about in relation to wellness. Healthy and Heals is an initiative that I started, which, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I was on Steve Harvey's show this morning. It was pre-recorded, but they aired it today. Talking about the Healthy and Heals initiative. So it came on, I was on the Fitness Friday segment with Daryl Haley, and it was so much fun. And that's where a lot of the grab your health by the heel, the stump, pump, and stiletto lingo sort of came from. It's just me kind of playing around with that show and really just talking about, again, own the power, ladies, and walk in our wellness. What we inherited was that we were, again, supposed to be deposited with diseases because that's what our grandmothers or our mothers were predisposed to. But we now know that we have the power to make choices that will make us healthier so that we can live longer, healthier lives, so that we can also teach our young girls and then their children that does not have to be their destiny, okay? The power stays and it lies with us, and we have to be able to embrace it. Don't loosely embrace it, embrace it. Okay, so that's where that came from, and that's what the Healthy and Heals initiative is all about. So I look forward to talking with you. I'll be here for the remainder of the Tawawn Lowe show. So come over and definitely chat with me. So thank you for entertaining me and having me.